The idea of civilization exists to be mined in order to attend to the present. There is an obsession, a commitment to the present in Ambedkar, which leads him to the idea of history. That there is civilization, but that civilization does not allow us to understand the oppression of the present. So the commitment to the present, the commitment to history as against the commitment to civilization on the part of Gandhi and Nehru for different reasons. There is also a way in which to step back a bit, where I try to de-link Gandhi from Ambedkar. One way to think about them together perhaps is in the way in which both of them worked with the idea of a mythic time in the time of modernity. Gandhi had a commitment to religion, and he constantly spoke about the fact of the immorality of a politics without religion. And how do we explain Ambedkar's conversion to Buddhism in 1956? There is a way in a man who is a secular modernist, who is a hard-headed rationalist, decides to convert in 1956 in Nagpur, which is again very symbolic as much as ironic, because Nagpur is the home of Hindu nationalism. It is the home of the RSS. Right? So there are multiple ironies in this. But here there are again two things that one could think about in terms of the similarity. I mean, when one remembers Walter Benjamin, two ideas from Walter Benjamin. One is this constant reaching back to the past from a moment of danger in the present. Ambedkar reaches back to the past for resources in order to understand the oppression of the present. And what he does, as Gandhi did, and as Benjamin suggests, that modernity is not merely a homogeneous empty time. There is always that space through which the Messiah can enter, through which mythic time can enter, through which religious time can enter, through which the notion of emancipation, the notion of millenarianism, all of them are present within the seemingly secular rational time of modernity. And in 1956 it was both a reaching back to a memory of equality offered by Buddhism, as well as a disruption of that time of secular post-colonial modernity through bringing in a religious imagination which was to be central. Finally, I think I want to say a word about this poster. There are many photographs that we could have chosen of B.R. Ambedkar, right? and many of them show him as a senior statesman, in his dressed in his perfectly tailored suit with a fob watch, gently balding with the spectacles on, and that's the way we remember him, and that's the way multiple statues all over North India have him, holding the Constitution, pointing the way forward. But here is Ambedkar with his hair all awry, hair growing white. And this takes us back to a statement from his autobiographical fragment, where as they moved around, it was his sister who cut his hair, because no one would cut an untouchable's hair. So whenever I look at Ambedkar's hair, I'm reminded of untouchability. Who cut his hair? Who would allow themselves to cut his hair? This is the plight of an untouchable in modern India, and this is important to think about B.R. Ambedkar as an untouchable, because he thought of himself as an untouchable, coming from where he did. And if you think about the series of if you think about the series of incidents, the question of Ambedkar's experience, the experience of untouchability, the experience of indignity, the experience of humiliation that did not characterize the lives of Nehru, Gandhi and the other leaders, right? We remember Gandhi being thrown off the train at Pietermaritzburg, but Ambedkar's life was a series of humiliations. He was married in a bicycle shed in Baikala. Right? So in the market in Bombay, there's a bicycle shed, he was married there, the bride and the bridegroom moved to one side of the bicycle shed to sleep. The others sleep on the other side, the cooking is done, so you can imagine the size of a bicycle shed. Right? So that's one experience. There's the experience of the scholarship by the Gayakwar of Baroda to go to Columbia. When he comes back, the Gayakwar wants to appoint him in the state civil services. Not a single person in the civil services there is willing to deal with Ambedkar because he's an untouchable. The most highly educated man in Gujarat at that time, people would toss files at him because they didn't want to be polluted by the touch of the untouchable Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. They would refuse to give him water. And as Ambedkar traveled the landscape of India, There were a series of rituals and ceremonies that followed him, as everything that he touched, every protest that he engaged in, every glass of water that he drank would be followed by purification thereafter, because Dr. B.R. Ambedkar remained untouchable. Right? These are the facts of experience, that the experience of an untouchable, the experience of inequality, the experience of indignity ought to propel our writing of history, ought to make us rethink the history of nationalism. I'll leave you with one final fact. Gandhi, just before the roundtable conference, when he heard that B.R. Ambedkar was also coming, he assumed that B.R. Ambedkar was a Brahmin. And he was rather surprised, of course, to realize that he was an untouchable. But why did he assume he was a Brahmin? The name Ambedkar, right, is a name that suggests itself as a Brahmin name, like you have Tendulkar, Vengsarkar and so on. It's the idea of the Brahmin naming himself after the village that he comes from. What was Bhim Rao's real name? He was Bhim Rao Sakpal. Okay? That was his father's surname. So he would have gone down in history as Bhim Rao Sakpal, except for the fact that at school, a Brahmin teacher called Ambedkar was so impressed with Ambedkar's performance that he entered him in the school records as Bhim Rao Ambedkar. So not only was Ambedkar Aniket, he was also Anamika. Even the name that we remember him by is not his name. It's a name that's been accorded to him. And this is what we need to think about when we address the question of experience and the invisibility of the Dalit, the invisibility of the untouchable in our larger imagination, in our social theory, and indeed in the very way in which everyday life is conducted in India. So what I would like to do is now begin the session. We have only a half-day session today. For purely formal reasons, the hall is only booked till the afternoon. So the first session has Ajay Skaria, Aishwary Kumar and Gopal Guru. And we'll do it in 3 sessions of 45 minutes each, or 45 minutes to an hour each. So hopefully you can make your presentation in around half an hour or so, and then you'll have half an hour of questions back and forth. But that 1 hour is yours. If you wish to speak for 1 hour, that's fine, but there will be no questions. You see what I mean?